Welcome into the X106 podcast. Today's podcast will be Devin, Albertson, Max Moore, Jonathan Bynum, and Connor Raabe as we talk about the NFC and AFC championship games, as well as the Pro Bowl coming up this Sunday. And guys, we're going to start with the NFC championship game, and we'll just start with Max over here. You can go first. What was your thoughts on Atlanta throttling the Packers?
It goes to show that if you don't have a complete team, you can't win, big-time games. The Packers came in with riding Aaron Rodgers the whole season, really coming out since their losing streak. And, it's when you play a complete team like the Atlanta Falcons are, it's tough to beat them, especially with the Atlanta Falcons playing so well and Matt Ryan playing so well. And especially I think the difference between years past and current is the Atlanta Falcons actually have a defense this year. They have a good pass rush. They have good defensive backs that are going to be able to cover receivers. And, I think that's what really hurt the Packers was having all those sorts of great guys on defense and combining that with a hot offense.
As you said there, they have a better defense. Like the stats don't show it, but it's because they're always in high-scoring games. Their offense scores so quickly, their defense is back on the field, so the stats kind of skewed a little bit there. But you watch their defense; it's fast. There's a lot of speed on that defense. Vic Beasley and the company, and definitely Dan Quinn, who came from that Seattle tree, kind of some same characteristics from that Seattle defense. And you just saw the speed differential between the two teams. Whenever Julio Jones was in the open field, it looked like Stanford versus Iowa a couple years ago in the Rose Bowl. Just complete mismatch out there with the speed differential between the two athletes.
Right, and I think one thing I noticed was Aaron Rodgers was never comfortable, and he was just never comfortable with the pass rush, and all of his balls were kind of thrown off the mark, and, it's hard to play good offense and be a good quarterback when you have tough defenders coming at you like that.
Even with, him being offset because of the defense coming at him, he still managed to throw for 287 yards, which is still impressive, but, this Atlanta offense was insane to watch. It was very fun. Very fun. Watching Julio Jones, he got, 180 yards, 20 yards a catch. 20 yards a catch. Absolutely incredible performance from him. And then Matt Ryan, he threw for almost 400 yards, and he had a passer rating of 139.
His QBR was a 98.4 out of a scale of 0 to 100.
98.4?
He was almost perfect. It was the best passing quarterback rating ever. It beat Tom Brady's mark when he played against Jacksonville Jaguars back in the early 2000s. So it was the best passer rating, QBR, in playoff history since they started recording that stat, which is insane.
His QBR was insane.
But, Connor, was it the Falcons' great offense or just the lack of Packers on defense? I know you're a Packers fan over there, so.
Yeah, I'm a Packers fan. I actually think most of America has an apology for the Falcons. I don't think anyone expected them to get this far, and I especially didn't expect them to just manhandle Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And, yeah, I think what I heard from – I can't remember what the source was. It was probably ESPN. At the start of the season, the Packers came in with the third worst defense in the NFL, while the Falcons, their offense just kind of broke out of nowhere, especially this year. And it just goes to show you when you have such a great offense like the Packers do, but you have absolutely no defense, it can only get you so far because defense does win championships. And the Atlanta Falcons, not only do they have a great offense, they also have a stellar defense, as we saw from the NFC Championship game. And
the other thing that people kind of get lost in this game was early on, after Atlanta had that first touchdown, Green Bay went down and missed a field goal, which is really rare by them. Then Atlanta got a field goal, and they had going in to score again. They fumbled inside the red zone. Just completely wiped away the Packers' momentum there. I think it would have been a really good game if those two things wouldn't have happened. But as we know in football, turnovers can really turn the tide of a game, and Atlanta capitalized. You got to do that if you're a good team. And the Packers, you can't turn the ball over in those big situations, especially on the road. The last game in the Georgia Dome, and just a recipe for disaster there from the rest of the way for the Packers.
Yeah, I think it goes to show how much momentum really matters in sports, and not only football, but in sports in general. I mean, you have Atlanta scoring off of the missed kick and the fumble, and right as soon as they come out of the gate in the first half, Julio Jones takes it 73 yards to the house.
Right after they go right before halftime and get that 24-0 lead.
Yeah.
I mean, just a little extra, and then they get the ball in the second half and try to up. It was 31-0 before Green Bay could do anything about it, and by then it's too late. So
definitely.
But the Packers, if you can't complain. I mean, you beat the Cowboys, so I'm really happy you did that because I don't want to hear more Cowboys fans the rest of the year. In my opinion, those were the top two quarterbacks, kind of the MVP. I had Matt Ryan coming in before the game as my MVP for the season, so I think he didn't do anything to disprove that. I mean, he threw for 392 yards and 4 touchdowns, ran another one in.
On 10 yards. 10 yards a throw.
Yeah, he was beyond good. And you go to the other game, Pittsburgh against New England. New England won 36-17. Tom Brady attacked that weak Pittsburgh zone defense. They played off coverage and they couldn't stay behind Chris Hogan, who had 9 catches for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was phenomenal. So, I don't know, the Pittsburgh Steelers just couldn't get anything going in this game versus New England.
What I find it so special about the New England Patriots is they find unlikely heroes to win them games. I mean, Chris Hogan, he had played 4 years of lacrosse at Penn State. Then he plays 1 year at Monmouth University. And then he bounces around from practice squads. And then the great Bill Belichick just finds him a way into the offense.
He was in 2 other teams in the division, Miami and Buffalo.
Right. And it's incredible. And, like, players like Dion Lewis, who got drafted in, I think, 2011. And, he hasn't made much of an impact in the NFL. And even just a few weeks ago, he comes in and returns a punt for a touchdown, a kick for a touchdown, and runs for a touchdown, which hasn't been done before in the playoffs. And I think it's incredible what Bill Belichick and especially Tom Brady does because, I think this only helps prove that Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. I know there are going to be people that say Joe Montana, maybe even Terry Bradshaw, Dan Marino.
He's by far the most accomplished.
Oh, yeah
I'll go
for
with
sure.
that.
I'm definitely going to say this. If Tom Brady wins this Super Bowl this year, he's going to pass Joe Montana. And that's a fact. Like, what do you do? Like, when you have the greatest coach of all time paired with the greatest quarterback of all time, also paired with a bunch of great players around you like that, it's just an unstoppable team. The Patriots are just winners.
What is this? Tom Brady's and Bill Belichick's 7th Super Bowl appearance?
I believe so.
Their career?
7.
Yeah, 7. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I can't remember where I heard it from, but there was someone that was saying they should part ways with Brady soon. They need to get Garoppolo in there, and then Brady comes out and drops a pretty big game. So
Okay, I know what you're talking about. He said if Brady had a bad game, that's what they need to do. But he still thought New England was going to win the game. Just if he had another clunker in the playoffs, New England might start thinking. But then Brady turns back to the fountain of youth, and it's fine. Dion Lewis, I know you talked about him. The Patriots are, 16-0 now in games that he actually is on the active roster, like he's suiting up for the day. So they don't lose when he's playing, which is weird because it's Dion Lewis. No one really thinks of him as a pivotal player, but he does so many things for them out of the backfield, running the ball well inside. He's so versatile. It really helps them. And you look at their receiving core, just a bunch of slot receivers who all look the same, but they're all really talented at what they do. He don't have Julio Jones, but he has a bunch of receivers who can get open, and if Pittsburgh didn't cover them at all down the field, it's pretty easy to get to them in the end zone for a touchdown and broken coverages. So
They were just out there just playing catch. Like, Julio Jones is having a field day out there.
what I think's and I don't mean this as a knock to those guys on the Patriots, but I think it all goes in part of the system. I think it's just a wonderful system that they have. They can find guys that just want to buy in and, as they say, do your job. They do their job, and they get open, and they get catches, and they get a Super Bowl ring. So, if you're looking to win a Super Bowl, just do your job and go to the Patriots, I guess.
Yeah.
I heard this interview that some of these people were talking to me about the interview that Tom Brady had before the season started last year, and Tom Brady said that he felt young and healthy and that he could play another 5 years.
I don't doubt it.
What do you guys think? Do you think we could still be seeing Tom Brady for a little while longer, or do you think he's going to be gone within the next
5
3 or
years
4
is a
years?
lot.
I'm going to give him one good sack, and his knees are going to be dust.
My thing with that is all these quarterbacks get to about age 40, and then once they hit a wall, they hit a wall hard.
Yeah, Favre.
It happened with Favre. It happened with Manning. It happened with a lot of these quarterbacks where they're great, but they just hit a wall. I don't know when it's going to happen with him. It could be 2 years on the road. It could be 3 years on the road. I just don't think he's going to be a quarterback. He's going to be gradually, then go out in the sunset. He's going to hit a wall, and it's not the Tom Brady we always knew. So it'd be interesting to see when that happens. I know some people predicted it earlier than others, but I don't know, just kind of enjoy what he's doing right now. I'm not a big Patriots guy, but I can respect what they do because they're so good at it, and it's so fun to just look year in, year out where they can just interchange players and it just keeps the system going. As you said, just buy in, and when the rest of their division is just absolute garbage, it shows how well-run the organization they are from the top, from Robert Kraft to Bill Belichick to Tom Brady and all the pieces they have around him. So it's a well-run organization. It just kind of stinks that the Chiefs are in the same conference. They can't ever get by anybody to get through, so...
I think something that is interesting to note is I'm wondering where the Steelers go, because I think they are trending downward. I think this was a year that they could have made the Super Bowl, and I think this was a very legitimate chance of them making the Super Bowl. But I mean, it just came out today that Roethlisberger is thinking about retirement. I don't know.
I think he comes back for another year, but if he doesn't, $18 million comes off the books, and they could take a quarterback like Romo.
Yeah,
I'm just like it's.
Yeah, I mean,
Romo.
it's all speculation at this point, but I think, and another thing is Antonio Brown. He and Odell Beckham need to figure things out.
Take a note from Julio Jones. Just do your job and be quiet.
Exactly.
As a receiver, you don't need to be a diva in your own time. You don't have to take everyone else's time with your antics.
Julio Jones knows how to do it. He just shows up, he plays, and he does. He doesn't need to go over to the sideline and marry the field goal net or anything like that. You need to go out there and play. You don't need to take pictures of yourself on a boat with jeans and boots. Just go out and play.
Or record what coaches are saying in the locker room about the other team.
And even Antonio Brown, he said he was whining and complaining that he didn't get the touchdown pass on the Steelers' lone touchdown.
Go home and cry in your millions.
Yeah, I understand you want to be competitive and you want to be successful for your team, but you got to take a back seat sometimes.
And that's fair. That's a fair point where you do have to show up and do your job and play the game, and they are, and they're great wide receivers, but they're still young. You gotta give him that. OBJ is like what, 23, 22. He's still maturing. He's still getting used to the league. It's like his third season. Just let him mature. Let him get all this extra out of the way. It's not like he's gonna go off and be like Johnny Manziel or something like that.
Antonio Brown's 28, by the way.
Yeah, Odell's
24, but Antonio Brown should know. But I think Antonio Brown's biggest thing, he's a jokester a little bit from what I've heard from the national media. Kind of a jokester. Just he let it get too far this time, I think, and everything that was going on. I think social media has been a big part of that, where I think receivers in the past were just the same thing. Just now there's a bigger spotlight, and they just kind of shine in the spotlight like, hey, look at me, because they're a receiver. They play away from the ball so much. They want to look at me. First to break the huddle, stuff like that. They're a little more divas, but that's fine. That's receivers, defensive backs are just kind of what it comes around with. You get O-linemen, not really that. They just do their job and go home.
Unsung heroes.
Gotta love the O-linemen, right, Max?
You're damn right.
But going on, we're going to transition now from the games that matter to the game that doesn't matter at all in the Pro Bowl. It's kind of nice to see who makes the Pro Bowl until you start getting the alternates. Like quarterbacks for the AFC originally were Tom Brady, Derek Carr, and Ben Roethlisberger. Now it's Alex Smith, Andy Dalton, and Phillip Rivers. Hoy.
Which isn't bad.
It's not good.
It's not
Rivers the best of the three, probably. That's not good.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers is still a talented quarterback, in my opinion.
I like Alex Smith, but he's not a Pro Bowl level quarterback, in my opinion.
I want to give him time too. There's nothing up for Alex Smith.
Man. I think one note I found on ESPN was that Phillip Rivers said it's just a little tidbit that this will be his final game as a San Diego Charger, and I think it's kind of nice. I know people from San Diego, and I know how much the Chargers mean to them, and it's just a nice little thing that they can do, or he can do, just to say I'm retiring the Charger name one last time, and then moving up to L.A. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I wish they were saying it San Diego personally. I don't think L.A. needs another team that they don't care about.
At least not the Chargers. I think if you're going to have one team,
the Raiders would be better there.
Yeah. I mean, I know how much people love the Raiders in Oakland, but I mean, there's a whole nother fan base of Oakland Raider fans in Los Angeles. Yep. So, I mean, it's an interesting deal. But, I mean, in terms of the Pro Bowl, it's like every other All-Star game. It doesn't mean anything. And when you try to make it mean something like they did for the MLB All-Star game, where they try to make it have the home field advantage for the World Series,
everybody.
It just doesn't make sense. It's all about marketing yourself. It's all about, Travis Kelce, I'm willing to bet here he's going to go score a touchdown, and then he's just going to dance, and he's going to do whatever he can to get more airtime. I mean, I don't blame him, because you're going to be sitting backseat to Gronk next year again? No. All he wants to do is just, you got to get your time out there.
I don't know. But thing about with the NFL is because it's such a physical sport, and none of the players actually want to get hurt in a Pro Bowl game. They don't try very hard, so it's just hard to watch a Pro Bowl game. Like the NBA, at least you can see some cool dunks or some long range 3-pointers. Like you can still see like an offensive show, even if it's kind of sloppy. You can see offensive just athleticism going crazy because no one's going to play a whole lot of defense. That's fun to watch. MLB, the game's not a whole lot interesting, but like the home run derby and stuff around it's kind of interesting. So just the Pro Bowl is just not interesting at all to me, and it just. Like Aaron Rodgers isn't playing in the Pro Bowl. They're gonna have Kirk Cousins going for him. Drew Brees in for the Saints for Matt Ryan. He's going to the Super Bowl. So it'd be interesting to see once you get all these. Like the AFC, if you're looking, Andrew Luck turned it down because he has some nagging injuries. Mariota couldn't go because he has his broken leg. So there's a couple quarterbacks in the AFC that you'd kind of want to see. Derek Carr would be one of them, but they're all hurt. So you can't really. It takes away from the All-Star game or the Pro Bowl whenever the star players aren't there to star.
It seems like the NFL has the most purposeless All-Star game because how can you really you can understand like having fun and like the NBA All-Star game. You saw it last year. The West scored 196 points. Like
how many threes did they shoot?
A lot.
A few more that's in the rec center.
A lot.
A few more in the rec ball.
I'm kind of with you guys. I think any all-star game of any kind is just a way to sell more tickets and get more advertising money because I mean they're extending seasons now. They're introducing the wild card. There's no point to have a wild card. It's just another game, which means more viewers, which means more advertising money. And I think it's just all marketing scheme. And yeah, I think we got to go against the system, man.
I will say that adding the new Pro Bowl skills challenge is more. It helps because I remember they did that. Oh, what was it, 10, 12 years ago, and you'd always watch replays on the NFL Network because the NFL Network didn't have anything to show at that time because they were up and running. But I think it's just the skills challenge maybe helps the players find some more fun in it.
And if, like, you want to have two receivers have a 40-yard dash time, they can kind of jaw each other before the race and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you can see more of the person behind the player. You can see, I remember they used to do kickers doing it. The kickers would just be like, I can make this shot. And they just like hit 50-yard field goals, and it's from different angles. It's kind of cool to watch that. Or you'd have the big guys bench pressing and just the quarterbacks trying to throw their arms out, throwing 80-yard bombs. It's kind of cool to see I think people forget how athletic NFL players are when you just watch them on TV. Like, why can't they get there? Well, because the other person is also an NFL player and also the best player in their area since they were Pee-wee football. So people forget how hard it is to get to that level and how great of athletes they are. So when you see all these, like, just regular competitions, you're like, oh, that guy's a freak. It's like, yeah, don't mess with Julio. And I wish it was still after the Super Bowl so the people who go to the Super Bowl would actually be able to experience it. And keep it in Hawaii. No NFL player wants to go to Orlando.
I will say,
True.
Yeah, I will say that the whole Hawaii and Orlando deal, obviously, I could bet players they would love to go to Orlando or they love to go to Hawaii. Certainly Hawaii more than others, but I think and especially when it comes to these extra bowl games, which I'm not a fan of, the 5 and 7 teams getting in. But if you can tell me I could go play an exhibition game against some random team over in the Caribbean. Or down in Florida, you get to go to Disney World, Disneyland down in L.A., or go to San Diego. That would be worth it.
It's been the bowl games like Idaho. You're like, why are we here in the famous Potato Bowl?
Oh, yeah. I would. I've
have a bowl game in Boise.
I've been to Idaho, and Boise's nice, but yeah, Boise's nice.
That's about it. That's why the Pro Bowl will probably never be in the Midwest again.
Oh, no.
No, never.
No, that's why you hear people complaining about the D2 championship game being in Kansas City this last year because the weather was bad. Oh, that was a fun game. I don't care. Yeah. Snow games are fun. People are like, it was a bad television. Like, you know what? People who don't usually watch D2 football is like, it's snowing. Let's watch this game. Like, people like snow games for some reason. It brings the audience in that people aren't used to. Maybe it's not the best thing for, like, the equal playing field both teams, but both teams have to play in the snow. Not like Northwest played in the snow before that. Just because North Alabama can't handle it, not my fault.
all I got to say about that is I enjoyed being on the field, being part of that, and I got a ring out of it. So, if North Alabama wants to complain about that, you can't rewrite history like that. So, sorry, UNA.
And I don't think it would have mattered what field you guys were playing on that day. You can definitely tell who the better team was that game, and no one's going to care who the better team is for the Pro Bowl, as I hear most people, if they do. Like I watch shows like, yeah, I don't bet the Pro Bowl for like point spread, but I'll vote over under because why not? Because people like an outrageous over number, like I'll vote under for that. I'll be winning for 55 minutes at least before they get to it.
I think you guys to be in a sad state or a sad gambling predicament in order to be betting on the Pro Bowl and be watching it that
People get that
intense.
bored, all right?
I know, but oh man.
Some people don't like the NBA like Jonathan Bynum over here. They have to do NFL games till they're all gone.
Yeah.
And that'll be it for this week's podcast. Check us out on YouTube at X106. This is Devin Albertson, Max Moore, Jonathan Bynum, and Connor Raabe. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Next week, we'll have a different group doing the podcast here on X106.